Hey guys, OG Albino here, bringing you guys my APA Academy Season 2 Week 6 battle against our good buddy Zombie and his Victoria Victinis. Very cool dude, very talented battler as well. Please go check him out in the description below if you haven't already. He's been on his grind content-wise, uploading this league and a couple others as well. And like I said, very talented dude, so you should definitely go check him out. But with that being said, let's just jump right into the team builder, right into the team matchup. All that good stuff. Our team, if you did forget, consists of the Deoxys attack, Naganadel, Jirachi, Tyranitar, Rotomo, Zemus, Keldeo, Zemus, Piloswine, Staraptor, Frostlass for Zemus, Stoutland, Mega Garchomp, and Granbull. While our opponent's team consists of the Marshadow, Celesteela, Gliscor, Suicune, Alola Ninetales, Latias, Mega Tyranitar, Quillfish, Sceptile, Raichu, Licky, and Blacephalon, with the Z users being Latias, Blacephalon, and Raichu. Now, I know it shows the Suicune there, and it looks kind of jank. That's because I'm recording this team builder very much after the fact of the battle a week after, and after our game, Zombie actually ended up dropping Suicune for Volcanion, but, he had Suicune on his team for this game, so I figured showing it on the screen so you guys don't have to, constantly keep that in your mind, is obviously beneficial. So it'll look a little weird there, being the only one that moves, but oh well. Not too big of a deal. But yeah, with that being said, this matchup is a tough one. Fighting types run our team through. You've seen every week so far, whenever we've played an offensive fighting type, which has been every week, which is pretty unlucky for us. Every time we face one, they've just had phenomenal matchups, and Marshadow is no exception. Actually, Marshadow probably has the best matchup out of all the fighting types we face. Having that additional Ghost Stab on top of the Fighting Stab is gross in any matchup, but in this one in particular, it pretty much kills like everything on my team, and it has Shadow Sneak for Deoxys, so I can't even reliably revenge that thing. It KOs every single mon on my team, which is terrifying, so we're gonna have to come up with a pretty creative way of beating that mon. Celesteela, it's terrifying. Suicune is annoying, Gliscor is annoying, playing against Veil is potentially scary, Latias is potentially pretty scary if he's a calm mindset, and Mega Tyranitar is Mega Tyranitar. That mon is very scary. It's very fat, very bulky. You could run like a Stealth Rock attack, 3 attack set, or you could run like Dragon Dance or Rock Polish or something like that, and just go for an endgame win with that, which is definitely very valuable versus our team. But with that being said, our first mon right here is going to be our Naganadel, rocking out with the Choice Scarf, Beast Boost ability, Dragon Pulse U-turn, Sludge Wave, Fire Blast, 84 HP, max special attack, and 172 speed with a timid nature. This is going to serve as our speed control this game. I didn't really want to run Scarf as much, but it outsped pretty much all of his potential Scarfers. I don't think Scarf Marshadow is ever coming. I don't think that's a very good ring versus me at all. But you never know. I guess he could, potentially bring it, but if he does, he'll outspeed us, but that's not the biggest deal in the world. We're outpacing a max speed Lottie, just so we can always outpace that thing, even if he is Scarf. Only way he'll outspeed is if he goes for like Z-Trick, if he's a Z-Trick set, which would be a really cool bring. But I don't expect it because we have a Tyranitar and he doesn't have the move slots to hit that thing if he wants to run like Z-Trick plus Calm Mind. And if he's not Calm Mind, I'm not very scared. But yeah, like I said, this thing hits his team very hard. Dragon Pulse, Sludge Wave, Fire Blast hits everything pretty decently, and then U-turn obviously for momentum. It's gonna bait in stuff like the Celesteela, potentially stuff like the Tyranitar, and we have other members on our team to potentially take advantage of those too. So I figured having this to bait those in, U-turn out, and get in our other threats would be very nice. And this forms good speed control for us this game too. It's a good potential late game win con as well, depending on what's left and what we can lock into. If not, it's going to be a good revenge killer this game until he figures out we're Scarf and all that stuff. But yeah, that's going to be Naganadel. Next up, we have our other Uber on the team, rocking out with Deoxys attack, Life Orb item, pressure ability. Life Orb is not an item, an ability. Substitute Drain Punch, Psychic, Thunderbolt, 188 attack, max special attack, yeah, 68 speed with a rash nature. Now this is a very good wall breaker in this game. We have sub for just force switches, things that we know we can force out, and if we can be behind a sub when Marshadow comes in, that's phenomenal because that means it can't revenge Shadow Sneak, and we bought that thing with Psychic 100% of the time. We have Drain Punch for that T-Tar that wants to come in. Unless he's like max defense, he pretty much drops to a Drain Punch after rocks. If not, with a tiny bit of chip, we should be able to knock him out. And if we're behind a sub, then we'll be able to 2-hit KO, obviously. Then we have Thunderbolt for things like Celesteela. Like Celesteela would be typically a decent check to this thing. It also hits the Suicune super effectively, which is very nice. and just this coverage in general hits his team very, very hard. Wanted to fit Ice Beam for Gliscor and Lottie, but Gliscor we can hit hard with Psychic after a little bit of chip. And Latias, that is a mon we do need to remove for this mon to really put in a lot of work. That is going to be a common theme on this team. We need Lottie gone, and the rest of our team actually functions pretty well, so we do have a plan for that in the back in our Tyranitar, but we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, other than that, this mon hits his team ridiculously hard, and I'm hoping it'll put in a decent amount of work this week. Next up, we have our win con this week in our Keldeo, rocking out with the leftovers, Justified Ability, Calm Mind, Scald, Secret Sword, and Substitute. 108 HP, 4 defense, 132 special attack, 108 speed def, and 156 speed with a Timid Nature. Very, very weird EV spread here. It is another mon that needs the Latias gone, but we'll get there when we get to our Tyranitar. If we can eliminate that thing, I really do think this mon can just win. We have enough speed for Gliscor. Our HP investment allows us to live a Life Orb close combat after rocks from Jolly Marshadow, which is very, very nice, and I do expect him to be Jolly in this matchup. I don't expect Adamant because then he risks losing to Naganadel if I'm not in range of Shadow Sneak, which would be very, very bad for him. And then the HP plus speed def lets us do a couple things. One thing it lets us do is guaranteed live 2 Shadow Balls after rocks from Scarf Blacephalon if we do have our leftovers, which is really, really nice in niche situations if we don't have our Tyranitar to trap that thing as well, because it does handle it pretty well, being that it can't run HP fighting. The worst it can do is like a Will-O-Wisp or something like that. And then it also allows us to, at +1, once we are +1, and no special attack Suicune's Extra Sensory cannot break our substitute. So if we can Calm Mind, and he goes for Extra Sensory and he's not Roar for some reason, we can actually set up all over that even if he does have the Extra Sensory coverage. So I figure this Keldeo is a very, very nice bring. Secret Sword allows us to beat, like, Calm Mind, Sub, Protect, Scald, Suicune 1v1 100% of the time, which is really, really nice. If he's not Roar, we beat Suicune 100% of the time, as long as we don't switch in on a Toxic or something like that, which would be a pretty dumb play on my end, and I don't plan to make it. But yeah, that's going to be our Keldeo this week, hoping it'll put in work if we can get rid of that Latias. And speaking of getting rid of that Latias, we have our Tyranitar. We're rocking out with Scarftar once again this week. Sandstream ability, Pursuit, Crunch, Stone Edge, and Ice Punch. Max attack, 28 speed def, and 228 speed with a Jolly Nature. Like I said, this is going to be our way of trapping Blacephalon and Lottie. It's also my switch into Blacephalon 100% of the time. Shadow Ball bounces, Fire Blast bounces, even though we're not very defensive. He can run like Hidden Power Ground or something like that. We take it. We always outspeed with Pursuit unless he's Scarf, but we're never 2-hit killed by like Scarf HP Ground or something like that. And we can knock that thing out actually after one turn of Sand Chip, which is also really, really nice. With Max Attack Jolly, we also always 2-hit KO Lottie with Pursuit if he doesn't switch out, if he's just fully offensive. So if he's not a very bulky Lottie, which I don't necessarily expect, but if he's fully offensive and he tries to play around us pursuing and stuff like that, because it's pretty obvious when I bring it in on Lottie, we'll still always 2-hit KO him. We'll eventually stall him out of Roost and beat him that way. And if he wants to attack us one turn, we live a hit, and then we can 2-hit KO and return with Sand plus Pursuit, which is really, really nice. Crunch if we need something to hit really hard. Stone Edge just for a good neutral stab versus things like Celesteela. Also hits the Ninetales really hard. This is a good thing to stop Ninetales from setting up Veil if we're feeling a little bit risky and we want to switch in as he sets up Veil. We can also always live one hit from that thing, which is also really nice. It's a pretty good check to it. Half of me doesn't expect Ninetales to come, just because I have a Jirachi, but you never know. Veil is a very, very scary thing, especially with mods like Celesteela and bulk up Marshadow and, Calm Mind Latias and stuff on your team. So it's nice to have counterplay to that, just in weather itself. And we have Ice Punch for the Gliscor. I wanted to change this to Low Kick for the T-Tar at last minute, but I just didn't get, I already had my team gen, and when I got the idea, I was just kind of like, oh well, if T-Tar comes, we have other monster pressure, like our Deoxys, like our Keldeo, and like our Jirachi and Rotom in the back, which you'll see in 1 minute. But yeah, Scarftar is very, very important in this game. With this amount of speed, we always outspeed max speed Lottie if he's not Scarfed. I don't expect Scarfed Lottie to come simply because I have a Tyranitar on my team. He locks into the wrong move once and he is just trapped. There's nothing he can do about it. And yeah, the rest was just thrown into Spadef just to take special hits generally better. I don't really care about taking physical hits this game. I don't take physical hits from much at all. So Tyranitar, while it's not great in the matchup overall, it's very, very important in getting rid of the Latias and the Blacephalon if at all possible. Next up, we have our Jirachi, rocking out with a pretty cool set Here, we're rocking out with the Kasib Berry, Serene Grace ability, obviously. Iron Heads and Headbutt, Stealth Rock U-Turn, 108 HP, 252 attack, 24 speed def, and 124 speed with an adamant nature. Now this is going to be our Marshadow check, which is pretty funny. We're not a Marshadow check, we're a Marshadow lure, basically. My plan is to bluff Scarf all game. I want to bring this thing in hard on it. Bluff the Scarves and Headbutt to potentially knock it out, force him to switch out into Celesteela, and then I'm going to hard switch out. I'm not going to U-turn unless I need to. The only time I'll U-turn is if it's the first move I click. I want to bluff Scarf until the end game to where he thinks he's comfortable in staying in and clicking Shadow Sneak versus me after a little bit of prior chip damage, where we can live that, or we can live Spectral Thief from a pretty healthy amount as well. I believe it does like 80% if he max if he's Life Orb and Jolly. So we can always live that. We always knock him out with an Adamant Zen Headbutt. We also have enough HP to live a banded close combat after rocks, which is pretty nice too in itself. If he doesn't click the ghost move, we also live the ghost move after rocks, I believe. I want to say, but yeah. And then we just threw the rest in Spit Def after we maxed out our attack and threw an Adamant Nature on there. We're also running out of speed for Jolly Tyranitar, which is really nice in case we need to flinch that thing down with some Iron Heads. If he is like a no more offensive tar, we definitely 2-hit KO him with Iron Head, so all we'll need is 1. And if we can stop that thing from Dragon Dancing up on our team, it's obviously really good. So yeah, that's going to be Jirachi. Pretty cool set this week. It's going to be very important in us winning, despite there being a Celesteela that just hard walls it. But hopefully we have other things to damage and chip down the Celesteela, one of which being our Rotom, rocking out with a pretty cool set as well. Darkinium Z, Levitate ability, Dark Pulse, Thunderbolt, Leaf Storm, Volt Switch, 140 HP, 220 special attack, and 148 speed with a modest nature. Now this set right here is to just put a lot of pressure on his defensive cores and stuff like that. We hit the Celesteela very hard. It's one of our main switches to that thing as well. It doesn't hit us, ridiculously hard unless he goes for like Flamethrower or Fire Blast, but we do a huge chunk with Thunderbolt and Volt Switch. Leaf Storm is not going to make the Clay Score feel good. Suicune does not appreciate Thunderbolt, Leaf Storm, Volt Switch, any of that stuff. The only one that really does appreciate switching in on this is like a Spadef Licky, which we can deal with in other ways, hopefully. I'm really hoping that one doesn't come, in all honesty, because Loki would have been nice for that too on T-Tar, but oh well. And the Latias and the Darkinium Z Dark Pulse, is actually enough to knock out a offensive Lati after rocks with our investment in our modest nature. Then we did enough speed for an Adamant T-Tar and threw the rest in HP. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford to go for Jolly if I wanted to have that KO on Latias, which I figured would be really important. Like Thunderbolt into Darkinium Z also knocks him out, so I figured that was a really good benchmark to hit. If we can, again, lure that thing in any way possible so that our Keldeo and our Deoxys can go in this game, that's obviously really nice here. And yeah, that is going to be our 6 for our game versus Zombie. Really fun team. I had a lot of fun building this team because it's a very tough matchup, but that always brings out, the best builds and stuff like that, because you really have to dig deep and think about what 6 you want to bring and how you're going to, stop your opponent's terrifying team. And Zombie definitely has one of those. He's doing very well this season too. So like I said, please go check him out. If you guys are excited for the battle tomorrow, be sure to subscribe so you can stick around and catch that game as it goes up. And I'm going to get out of here later.